and sing this little song. Run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run, run, run. Run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run, run, run.
I read a lot of horror books. Here are some that actually creeped me out. The Black Farm by Elias Witherow. And I wasn't exactly gripping the sheets while I was reading this, but the depravity sunk itself into my soul because I will be minding my own business when a scene will flash into my head and pull me into a very dark and twisted place. This is like a nightmare you can't escape from. I Call Upon Thee by Anya Alborn. A young woman returns home after her sister unalives herself and she has to confront a presence that she invited into all of their lives when she was a child. The atmosphere is so dreadful. You really do feel like something is waiting for you in the dark and watching you and ready to pounce. I had chills throughout. I can't prove it, but the ocean wants to eat me and The Deep by Nick Cutter plays into all of my fears. Horrible things happen in a claustrophobic lab way down deep in the Mariana Trench. My fight or flight was triggered. I had anxiety sweat, plus it's disgusting and brutal.
Don't you want devoted followers who leave their families for you, give their money to you, give their bodies to you, give up their lives for you, consider you God, and will kill for you? Don't you want to become a cult leader? Since the death of God, there's been a vacancy open. You could fill that void.
And sing this little song. Run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run, run, run. Run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run, run, run.
Gone as I planned. When you had to bid adieu, said you'd never love anew. I wondered if I could hold it and fall in love with it too. You told me to buy a pony, but all I wanted was you.
And sing this little song. Run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run, run, run. Run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run, run.
Here's some more horror books, less than 200 pages that you might be able to finish in one sitting. Saculina by Philip Fracassi is a deep-sea horror story about a group of people stuck on a fishing boat in the middle of the ocean after things go horribly wrong. It was pretty freaky and had some gore and body horror. Visitor by Sergio Gomez takes place on Christmas Day and is about a group of people stuck at a roadside diner and have to fight for their lives after an unknown presence is attacking them. This was very fast-paced, a lot of fun, and very violent. Cockroach King by Andrew Cole is about a woman and her son that move into a new house and things are going great until they discover the remains of a dog buried in their back garden, and they also realize that they might have a cockroach problem. Like all of these kinds of books, this made me feel itchy and was pretty freaky. Worm and His Kings by Haley Piper is about a woman that believes her girlfriend has been taken into the New York subway system by a monster, and one day she decides to track them down. This was equal parts cult horror and creature feature, and things just get absolutely wild.
let's play another game of If You Want. I am not your mommy. Check the trigger warnings on these. I'm not responsible for if you have nightmares or if you get sick or upset, okay? Check trigger warnings. If you want a book that has 80s, 90s vibes, has fucked up clowns doing fucked up clown things, and makes you question what really goes on behind the scenes at carnivals, read The Cotton Candy Massacre by Christopher Robertson. If you want a book about revenge, I'm talking the most fucked up revenge that will have you vomiting in your mouth, only to swallow it and vomit it back up 2 pages later, read Yellow by Aaron Beauregard. If you want a book where you don't know what is what or who is who or what the hell, but has eerie vibes and a creepy but beautiful atmosphere, read You've Lost a Lot of Blood by Eric Soroka. If you want a book full of short stories that will give you nightmares, with some as short as 2 pages that will leave you absolutely speechless, read Little Paranoids by Sonora Taylor.
So someone asked, what is the most disturbing or scary book that I've ever read? And I know that I've discussed books that have disturbed me before, and those are books that typically stick with me for a while after I've finished reading them. When I say that a book scared me, I mean that while I was reading the book, I actively was experiencing feelings of fear and anxiety. And also, before I begin, I typically try to keep things spoiler-free, so I'm sorry if my descriptions of these books are really vague. I'm just really not trying to spoil anything for people who might want to read them. Phantoms by Dean Koontz is about a pair of sisters that basically discover that their town has gone missing. And most of my anxiety came from when the girls are first exploring the town, trying to figure out where everyone went. Because not only is the idea of basically exploring a ghost town pretty creepy, but I was really afraid of what exactly they were going to come across. Pen Pal by Dathan Auerbach is essentially about a man trying to string together some really unsettling situations that happened in his childhood. Now, I'm going to keep this one incredibly vague because it's really good to go in blind, but just believe me when I say that the fear that I felt in this book got worse as it went on. Like, it just continued to get worse and worse as I turned the pages. It was hard to choose between The Ritual and Last Days by Adam Neville, but ultimately I think that The Ritual was a little bit scarier for me. This one, there's just some sequences in this book that I absolutely was begging the main characters to please make better decisions because I was afraid of what was going to happen next. This one is dark, unsettling, and very anxiety-inducing. Now, I know out of all the books that Stephen King has released, choosing The Outsider probably seems like a very odd choice, but just hear me out. I read this book back when it was first released in 2018, and there are some scenes that are still burned into my brain because of how bad they scared me. Now, again, I'm going to keep it vague, but you see this figure on the cover? Yeah, I don't do well with shadow figures and entities like that. They freak me out, so I'm sure you can imagine why this book scared me. So I know that these books all have kind of similar themes and very similar reasons why they scared me, but remember, fear is subjective. Different people are afraid of different things, and these are definitely the 4 books that I would say scared me the most while I was reading them. That being said, if you've read any of these, I would love to know if they scared you, and if you haven't read any of these, I would love to know what's the book that scared you the most.